Mr. Fursley, given the 47 billion euro trade deficit and disputes over sectors like electric vehicles, what practical steps can the European Union take to enforce fair reciprocity without triggering a damaged trading war with China?
It's a very difficult question, and I would say the balance of power is in the hands of China. So, when you're pressuring China, and that's a game, actually, that's a game Trump himself has played nonstop for 6 months. Remember, he started his, what he called, trade liberation war in early April of this year, and it was much more than trade, right? It was an essential realignment of the world economy, right? And so it started, in early April, and on the 30th of October, precisely 5 weeks ago, Trump met with Chairman Xi Jinping in Seoul, South Korea. And what they did in South Korea 5 weeks ago, during that 5 hours nonstop meeting, is really, they carved out, they divided the world economy, in essence, and they left Europe out. And why was Europe out? Very simply, because remember, 30th of October, that is the Chinese-American summit in Seoul. What happened before that? On the 30th of July, Ursula von der Leyen, who is much more powerful and more influential than poor Emmanuel Macron, right? Ursula von der Leyen, she went to Scotland in a private golf club named after Trump's grandmother. You couldn't make it up. And she basically submitted to Trump in the name of Europe, because she agreed to a 15% tariff on all European exports to America, but much worse and much more dramatic for the future of the European economy. What did Ursula von der Leyen agree to? She's speaking in the name, by the way, of German, Italian, and French private sector industrial companies, which is illegal, but no one cares in Europe. She told the Americans that she would vouch for the fact that all big French, German, Italian industrial corporations in the next 3 years would invest trillions of dollars every year in new factories in Oklahoma, New York, Tennessee, Baltimore. What does it mean? That all that money, industrial investment, long-term capital investment by the likes of Siemens or Renault or Total or the biggest, industrial companies in France and Germany, all that money will go now to new and expanded factories in America and less money invested at home in Europe. It's a disaster. So of course, when he met Xi Jinping in Seoul, he knew that Europe was already defeated. And now Macron, in a very ridiculous way, is flying to China, desperately trying, to salvage that economic relation with China, but the Chinese don't need him. I mean, there was a window when the Chinese needed Europe, and that was between April and the end of October, when Trump was pressuring the Chinese very aggressively. Then the Europeans, they had leverage. They could have gone, Ursula von der Leyen and Macron, to Beijing before the 29th of October, and the Chinese would have given them a sweet deal. Now the Chinese don't even need them.